Now we go. All right. Shalom, Israel. See how this looks. Kind of a different lighting system with the camera fixed right to it. So we're gonna see how this looks on y'all end. I know it looks dark on my end. We're gonna see how it looks on y'all end. Of course, any questions, comments, or concerns, any tips, hints, or criticism is all welcome. Shalom Israel, Yahbashim Yashabakatham to the brothers, Yah Shamar Latam Bashim Yashab to the sisters. We are the ISUPK, the Israelite School Universal Practical Knowledge, established in 1969, 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. We are led by Commanding General Yohana. We are not affiliated with any organization or any brothers or sisters going through some identity crisis. This is ISUPK Milwaukee, LASHAWAN QADASH class, and we're going to do a quick alphabet recap. I know we're starting late. The weather and the traffic over here gets a little crazy, but kind of set everything back. With winter coming up as well, we'll see how the hours go, but we're gonna try to keep this as consistent as possible given the circumstances. Yeah, that just looks dark. So we're gonna do a recap of the alphabet of the characters. To again try to just to make sure, that we are comfortable with the identifying characteristics of the characters, the elements of it, especially in the Assyrian script, so that you can better identify what you're reading as you're going back and forth. So in the Tanakh and the Torah right now, you're not going to see the Paleo Hebrew, which is going to be written as such. We're going to do with the Paleo, and then like the Assyrian is probably going to be in 2 rows like that. You might be able to get that. That looks a little big. Try to fit it all on the same board. So again, the Hebrew is what they would say is a consonantal based language. We didn't have the vowel system that they have in place today. You're going to see something that you would equivocate to a vowel, but it's not. That's not us. Vowels, things like that. That's really not us. That's just like the modern kind of understanding of it. Try to make sense to them. That's better. All right. It can be hard to make sure that you're in line with the whole thing. All right. So ba, ga, da. I know there's a glare on there. Let's see where it cuts off. Oh. Right, so that banner's in the way. Now we're going to have to move this down a little bit. Slack you, bear with me. Let's see how that looks. That banner's still in the way. All right, that's better. Now we're in the game. All right. Now again, everybody's penmanship might be a little bit different than the next. Let's try to make sure that we're keeping in the same parameters. Let's see where we are right now. Looks like we're going to flash right above it. Ta, ya, See how. All right, that works. So now just to try to keep it even, let me see where this is. Let's be right here with it. Just to make sure I skip that. So lock you. To try to keep it even, we're going to switch into the Syrian. So this is the Paleo-Hebrew text, the Paleo-Hebrew script. It's a pictographic language. So all of these have a physical counterpart represented. So, you know, owl with the bull or the ox head, the ba with the tent platform, like the blueprint, camel sump, a door, you know, a hand, a fish hook or a tent peg, a weapon, a farming tool, a fence, a basket, a different form of the hand. You got one that's kind of like presenting something. You got something else that's kind of like, you know, kind of reaching out, going for something. And then a palm, open hand. So they're all pictographic. And because it's our style, our humor, our convictions behind it, we can mix and match these to suit the needs of the conversation. The same way that we do with slang and ebonics today. It's literally no different. If you read the Bible, if you really knew the Bible like that, you're going to see us, even in the Quaker English, you're going to see us talking the same way that we do now, as we did back then. All right, so now, and especially with the Assyrian, this is, you know, like the handwritten version of it. And again, everybody's got their own kind of penmanship. Not everybody's cursive is the same. Not everybody's print is the same. So you can't expect everybody's penmanship on here to be the same either. But again, we keep it in the same vicinity of each other at least. So Ka. Ta. Ya. Ka. Let's see how that looks on the computer. All right, so that glare is kind of in the way with the ha. And so, like, just to be fair, you know, this would be connected to that. Each other all the way in. So with this guy here, let's just bring it down a little bit. All of these are going to be the same height. Obviously, except for this guy. Am I off the screen now? So lucky. Oh, so we got as far as yeah. Okay. All right, no sweat. All right, so this part got cut off. That's fine. Obviously, except for yeah, that's gonna start off at the same height with the rest of the characters, but it's just like an apostrophe or an apostrophe. Damn near just like an apostrophe. They use that as like a grammatical tool to kind of join together and in shorthand a couple words, like he shouldn't, that. That's kind of what the yah looks like. Now that's not the effect that it has, but just to give you kind of a physical representation of it that would make it more familiar when you're writing it out, it's going to be just similar to that. Just a little, you know what I'm saying? Again, everybody's penmanship might be a little bit different, but you know, it's just going to be nothing too crazy. While the rest of the characters are still that height, you know, and keep it right there with them in that same wheelhouse. So we're gonna run through these real quick, and then we'll give some of the more commonly mistaken characters. Do a quick little refresher course on that. So we got Abagada Hawazaka. That kind of guttural like yuck. Well, it's like I should have done this the other way, but like Captain Tazaryak, Captain Khatazar, Ka-ta-ya. And then Ka. La. Ma. Na. And again, to be fair, just to connect everything. So now the ma and the na are actually, like in the Paleo Hebrew, these are the only kind of characters, except for maybe the tha, that might not normally be like the same size as these. So like when we're writing these out, these are all going to be like the same size. The same size. The same size. In the Paleo Hebrew versus the Assyrian Hebrew. So Paleo is in the red. Assyrian is in the green. The ma and the na are the only ones that would, like if you were to see it in the ancient text, they would normally kind of drop below a little bit. They're normally have that kind of swoosh. And again, that's just like the character. So like, I know we're not there yet. I know, yeah. It's like Kalama. Na. Sa. And again, we're like right back that same baseline. Keeps it right up here. And you got a lot of people that got you know, their own opinions about Yiddish as it pertains to the origins of the Hebrew language. But if you were to hear somebody speaking Yiddish and somebody speaking like Polish or German right next to them, it's damn near gonna sound the same. Like they could pretty much have a conversation between each other because that language is so close, because that's Yiddish. It's like that. It's like Khazarian language. It's not Hebrew. And they always want to try to classify it as like Semitic. Nigga, this is Semitic. This is Semitic. It's the same script that they use today. They took this. All they did though was add a bunch of, you know, dots and you know, little squigglies, and like I said, I don't know, seen some things like that, and you know, one of these, and you know, one of those to make it, you know, one of these and that's, and you know, transform this like they're damn near giving it pronouns. It's not how our language works. If you were to hear somebody speaking in the ancient Hebrew, which again which is why we have all these classes, but if you were to hear Arab, like I don't even want to say ancient or classic Arab, because I believe how they were classified. If you were to hear classic Arab being spoke and work out, like hear the phonetics of the ancient Hebrew, you're gonna see that connection, because that is the closest the closest relative of languages phonetically to ours that had survived, from that long ago. Which again lets you know that these so-called Jews, these Israelis, are full of crap. Just to put it kindly, I guess. All right, so we'll continue. But again, if you were to see like the Qumran Crave scrolls, like that ma, the na, when they're next to other characters, like normally they kind of dip down a little bit. That's just our style, just our flavor. Again, just our penmanship on our culture, our words, our alphabet, our characters. All right, so we got kala, mana, sa, I. So now, this is the second kind of incident of a so-called vowel sound. You got ah. Actually, we'll put these in. I'll put them in the middle. So ah, ba, ga, da. Once again, let me see that one. Let's see if we do it over here. Ha. Let's see if we see that. You can kind of see that. You see what's going on though. H-A-D-A-G-A. Figure that out. Wa. Za. Ka. Ta. Ya. Ka. La. Do it again in the Hebrew. Ma, na, sa, and this would get an I. Now, if you want to get really, really, really look at it, it does still kind of carry that ah that the rest of the characters carry. Because if you look at it, like I. And I don't know if this is necessarily a word together, but sa, I, sai, I. It would carry that inference to it. I. Almost like you're saying, like I or I. But it's a It's what is that, like a long A kind of sound? But that's what's associated with each character initially, standing by itself. They all got their own names and whatnot, but just the phonetic, like pronunciation of it, this is where we would start from. Again, just to build that familiarity. So sa, I, pa. Taza, kwa, ra, sha, tha. Oh, we might not have enough room. Taza, kwa. Yep. Ra. We'll see if we still got room at the bottom. So now some of the next class that we're gonna be waiting for is the like the prefix suffixes, so that when you're looking at how the word starts, like if it starts with a ba, that would like be for. An indicator of like the intention behind it. Ha. The. pertaining to he, him. And when you combine these two, like if it starts off in the word, that's going to help give you some direction as to the gender association. And again, like this will come before the root word. So to help establish what the preposition is. And just like it's like I'm horrible at explaining things, but like the grammatical makeup of the word, because you have most times you can have the prefix, the root word, maybe a suffix, the conjecture, it's like I can't remember the all the different terms that just kind of help build it up. But as we grow with this, you're gonna see how the words get built up using that pictorial alphabet, and like what each character stands for and how they are applied together, the inference that it gives. There's something like what comes before, and then the root, and then the suffix, or the ending connections. It's gonna alter the word. It's gonna alter the meaning of it. And because we speak in slang even today, the same way that we did back then, there could be slight changes. That's why if you were to look like in the lexicon, you're gonna see so many different variations of the word shalom. That's one thing that I know we touched on a couple weeks ago. They all essentially meant the same thing, just there was like different applications of it. And because our oppressor couldn't reconcile it in that Assyrian presentation, they had to add that dot and dash vowel system, like they were doing Morse code at the same time. It's a relatively simple language, just we lack familiarity with it. So so we have these classes, and when you're reading through the Tanakh and the Torah, you're gonna see one version of it, and we're just trying to make sure that we can associate it straight back to the roots. When when it's important to make that distinction, and depending on what we're presented with, because like we see this all the time. This version, the Assyrian, we see this all the time, but we struggle. We struggle getting familiar with it, because how we teach the truth about this script is completely different than how our oppressors have used it the entire time. So we're more used to them having their way and their cultural influence on everybody else's culture in general, that this is more acceptable, and it's a little bit harder to catch the concept of. But again, as we grow in this together, it's gonna start opening up, and it's gonna be more relaxed environment, and we're gonna make some groundbreaking moves. Speaking of, I wanna separate this real quick. Damn near the same. A little bit ugly, but damn near the same. Just a little bit more rigid, not as just smooth and circular, kind of like a rounded box, rounded square. Let's use that. And then the La. So now, if you were to compare these side by side, you're gonna have that high and the low, but it's gonna start up above the rest of the characters. So whatever else is gonna be in line, it's gonna match this profile. But it might start off up top, it might drop down below. And we're gonna talk about that in these next characters. So Ma takes on two forms: in the beginning or in the end of the word, or the beginning, middle, or end of the word. especially in the beginning and middle, you're going to see this variation of ma. Or something similar to this. At the end of the word, you're going to see something. You see something like this. Why the change? Still not quite clear, outside of them just wanting us to not be as apparently ghetto as hell as we are. Now, the na also faces that challenge in the beginning or in the middle of the word. In the end of the word. So now, like the top half profile is going to look just like wa, except it's just a little bit longer. Again, you see that line? The height parameters that each character gets, depending on where it's at in the word, it might have a different value to offer. Maybe I should say. So we got ka, la, ma, na, sa, sa. Sa, I. I think we're kind of getting off track a little. There we go. Sa, I, pa, pa, taza. Oh, my fault. I went right back into the paleo. Didn't I? That quick with something. All right, so na, sa, I. Here we go. Pa. Now this is another one too. So in the beginning or the middle, does it also. So we can make a little bit of space. Very similar in effect. It's got like that same kind of upper body torso layout, and just over here it gets cut off. You got that base, that platform over here, it just keeps on going. So in the beginning or in the middle, but at the end. And the same thing with taza. You see the height difference with the qua, or it's like with the pa and the taza, in comparison with the rest of the characters. This is only going to happen at the end of the word. That variation is only going to happen at the end of the word. You're never going to see that in the middle or in the beginning. Let's see, qua. Qua is a little bit different. I guess they kind of take the form on any keel. But over here, we'll just try to be decent about it. Quara. So now these are some of the characters that are going to get the most confused. The ra with na, kind of la, ba, da, just because of that form that it takes on. You got a few characters that have this element in it, which, I mean, they use as, damn near weapons against anybody else that be trying to relate to them. And figure out what the problem is between us in such a violent and hostile environment. Which is why we have classes like this. So we can talk about the issues, identify the issues. But it's important to work on what's going to be the solution. Two very different things. Identifying the issues and coming up with solutions. People might want to talk about how corrupted the Bible is. That's fine. It is the true and authentic, closest translation from the ancient texts and documents to the English-speaking populace. How close? How close they got there? And the love that they got for one another. So that's done qua. So we got LASHAWAN QADASH. It's not that one. That was a slip. LASHAWAN. And even though the Assyrian script is not technically a pictographic language, you can see the correlations here. You can see how we were still kind of low-key trying to keep to our own without having to change everything for them. So we got LASHAWAN. I could have left more space. Then we're going to get through this together. So, LASHAWAN. For examples. Does not represent the actual names. It's like I was thinking about somebody else. So again, you have the Assyrian script, the Paleo script, the phonetic representation using the English character, English letters. So LASHAWAN. So now you are going to look at the more commonly mistaken characters. I think we'll just do it in the one color because it's not going to matter. It's like in the Paleo Hebrew, it's going to be a hard, a difficult task to find characters that look so much alike that you get them confused and can't count on. That's in the Paleo Hebrew. In the Assyrian script, you're going to find a lot of those common mistakes, which ends up leading to people's disinformative blogs and blogs and sit downs. Don't nobody ever want to invite us. That hurts. We got the cookouts. We got the Lord's Passover coming up in April. We got Purim coming up in, I believe, February. Yeah, Purim coming up February 22nd. And so the 22nd and 23rd, we got the Feast of Dedication, aka Hanukkah. Checking us out on December 7th. We're gonna have food, good food, good drink, good brotherhood, good sisterhood. So it's definitely something to that you'd have to witness by yourself in person to really understand what's actually happening. Because it seems like, you know, for a lot of our sisters, you know, some do with a car and, you know, paycheck stub. I mean, you know, it's a wrap. That never lasts though. We're talking about something that's got substance to it that will last. So we did the alphabet. And let's go over. All right, so again, can't even really use the pen. So in the Assyrian script, the ba. So again, thinking of parameters to see how tall or how wide the character is. Because like this does have that tail sticking out. So I'm saying that wasn't a mistake. Alright, so so a few of the ones that normally get mistaken for this, the na, because of how short it is, but similar in effect. And again, you're only going to see this version of it in the beginning and the middle. You're only going to see the ba in the beginning of it, in the beginning or middle, at these stages. You know, the youth, the kids, they don't have that luxury. But when we're reading it, we can identify markers, we can identify elements, a shorter foot here, shorter curve there, and we're still within that same relative box of considering the damage that you can do to them. Because they're trying to tell them, no, you crazy. Roll it out. Let's lock it, getting off track. So you can see the ba and the na. Again, how close they are. In the beginning or in the middle of the word, you can see that version of it. Otherwise, at the end, it's going to take on that form. I feel like we're sloping down now. There we go. So looking at the height and the width of it, you can see this has, you know, different characters within those parameters. It's going to be taller, but it's also going to be thinner. Just like how this is thinner in comparison to ba. The other one that this gets confused with is the wa character, which is the same thing. Is this drying out? Again, same parameters that you would follow for the rest of the characters to help identify what it's actually, what it sounds like, which character is wow. Beginning and, or well, I should say beginning, middle, end. The rest of the characters that don't have that inference is, you know, just left as it is. So what else we got? We got Ra. Ra also gets kind of lumped in with them. This only has one form of it. Trying to like that ma. It's got two forms, and the second character, well, the first and the second character share elements of other characters. So in that respect, again, like it gets hard to identify, especially when you see them so close together in a word. Just for example, Benjamin. In the Hebrew, Ban, which is son. So now Yum Yun, almost if you were to cut the Ben off, Jamin, pretty much Yum Yun. Now, if you were to write this out, how do we look on the screen? Can you see it?
Kind of. Yeah. I think it looks better on the red.
Yeah, the green does look a little bit faded. Yeah. How's the black showing up?
Black good.
All right. So now in the Assyrian, Bun, Yum, Yum. So now you can see the Ba and the Na right next to each other. And you can see this is thinner. The Na is thinner than the Ba. Same heights, different widths. The rest of the characters close up the gap. It's not like we're gonna leave like a perimeter around this to make sure that you're occupying the same space as the previous or the next character. We just gonna let it out. So now Ba and the Na. So this happens to be in the middle of the word. It doesn't have to be directly like in the middle. Just you know what I'm saying? Like it's in the middle of the whole word, and especially with the root word here. You can see how the form of the Na takes place here versus at the end. And again, so this is gonna be a thinner character, just like the parent Na, but it falls below that line. Same height up top, falls below that line. So again, when you're reading it in the Assyrian, it's important to the main indicators are going to be like the height and the width, what they look like next to each other, because you're not going to, Lord allow, you're not going to confuse this now with that, even though they're right next to each other. And you'll just mispronounce the whole thing. But then the other main key point is if it's at the end of the sentence or the word or the name. If it's at the end of the sentence, what form it takes on. That's going to give you a better, kind of quicker understanding of what's all happening. Let's keep this going real quick. There's also, that's what they were saying, the red look better. Just got to stick through it for a minute. So Salak, yeah. Looks like it's now Da. Da. Same height, same width as the rest of the characters. But instead of like the Ra where it's just kind of like rolled over, smoothed it out, like this one comes to a point and then drops. Da. Certainly nothing wrong with that. But again, just to identify where they are. Because you're going to see, like, the Da, you're going to see this in the beginning, middle, or the end. Actually, one good name to try that with is Captain DeBar. So, Da, Ba, Ra. So now DeBar. Oh, my fault, that's hell yeah. We're working with the Assyrian, my fault. Da, ba, ra, da, ba. So especially between the da and the ra, you can see that connection. And just that single kind of like outside frame. And then that ba sneaks in, same thing with the ra. If you were to look at like the calligraphic penmanship of it, you're gonna see like the same line marks with between these two. You're just gonna see that kind of like same silhouette though, in a sense, between those two. The only difference, here is that line underneath. Otherwise, you would have the same character. And again, it ain't gotta go all the way over. It's just a little platform for it. And when we start kicking in, nah. Nah. Wow. And then sometimes they'll lump in ha, ka, tha. I think that tha is cut off at the end. Yeah. Move all this down. So essentially the same thing that we're doing up there. Da, ba, ra. Again, it ain't gotta be that pronounced. Da, ba, ra. Da, ba. No. And its counterpart, which can get confused with wa. Looking right at it. In between these two, that's nah. Wow. Why ain't nobody else complaining about the stolen culture except for us? Well, again, if you were to look at, let's get this up. If you were to look at their practices, it's not the same. Their language is not the same. They are better understood by the goddamn rhesus monkey, which I don't believe in any of the conspiracy behind that as far as how the rhesus monkey became the so-called white man. That's for the bird. That's for the pilots. So again, just to remember the difference between them in the beginning or middle, and then at the end. So you can see how easily these could all be mistaken. Not that far of a stretch, right? Now we would include some of the other ones that also get lumped into this, because now they're thinking that it might be two characters involved. So ha, ta. It was like a ka. So ha, ka, and tha. This is like the next group that always gets confused with each other. But now if you're looking at, again, the elements, you can see how this would have been the same as this, which would have been the same as this, if you were to write it out in the script. And again, everybody's penmanship can change and, you know, not exactly look the same, so be patient with them. Ha. Ka. Tha. And that's actually the last, I'm gonna say that. But again, just the characteristics. You can see the relation between them. These are the main ones that get confused with each other. And then we got ka, my fault, we got ka too. And then his thing. So again, you can see some of the characteristics that share between these. Not so much pictographic anymore at this point. Like that aspect is just kind of folded away. But again, just to not get confused, you can see the difference. You can see the similarities. You can see the difference. And ka is not going to be any different than like the na in that sense. It looks like the da up top, and then that na, it drops below. So I think these are the main ones that people are going to stumble on. And it's kind of a common thing, Salaki. It's a common thing when you don't have, you know, the original sources to just apply your life to it. Which is something that as a people we need to, it's important for us to be diligent and to sift through so that we can get our own language and writing system and oral history, you know, shared farther. And, you know, we're known in the UK, we're known in South America, we're known in Canada, we're known in New York for sure, in Philly, Chicago. We're gonna put Milwaukee on the map. We got a handful of other brothers in these zones, you know, ready to put in that brick, man. So again, I said I wanted to keep this short, just kind of a quick crash through. You know, slack here, y'all, for y'all bearing with me with I had a couple items mixed up, but appreciate y'all time. We're gonna see you next weekend. So now we're getting geared up. We got the Feast of Dedication, aka Hanukkah, coming up right around the corner. That's gonna be December 7th. Now right after that, we got Purim. These are gonna be held as normal class sessions. It's not gonna be considered a high holy day or a cause for a Sabbath. It's gonna be just like a normal class. And you know, we'll eat good. We'll you know, maybe have some drink, but we're gonna go over the stories, and you can find this in Second Maccabees. Yeah, it's like the First Maccabees, chapter 4, verses 52 through 61 in the Apocrypha. And that's gonna help give you some of the backdrop as to what we did to reclaim our identity, reclaim our inheritance, our land, our language, our customs, and our culture. That was the main focus of the main drive to push in this war. and again under that oppression. So again, if you're gonna look at the story of Hanukkah, you know, it's not. I don't know how them fake Jews articulate it, but it ain't some like happy-go-lucky kind of fastidious function. It's, you know, we're taking into consideration the brothers and sisters that can't join us for these events now because the oppressor that we live under is the devil that the Bible speaks of. All right, so Salaki with that. Salaki for cutting it short, getting started so late. We do got started heading now. So Shalom, y'all Bashem Yishabrakadam to the brothers. Y'all Shemar Latam, Bashem Yahshai to the sisters. We'll see y'all next week, man. Get ready for Purim. Get ready for Hanukkah. Get ready for the Passover. April 20th, the Lord's 55th annual Passover, April 20th, Durham, North Carolina. Let's make sure we get that on the board, too. Lords. 55th. We need that Crip Mac on here, man. 55th. Annual. No, we don't just stop here. Spell check. Passover. The Lord's 55th annual Passover. You know, we got the Florida Cookout coming up as well. But this is going to be in Durham, North Carolina. Hop, skipping, and jumping away from Raleigh, North Carolina, where last year's Passover was kept. So, you know what I'm saying, get your fees paid in. That's his. Yeah, that red does pop a little bit more. It's going to be $200 per adult. And, you know, depending on the discretion of the family, we would normally count it as 18 and up, given the current condition of the justice system, I suppose. But while they are getting busy doing all that, we shall continue to rock and roll here. $20 per adult, 18 and up. All right, let them rip. The Lord's 55th annual Passover, Durham, North Carolina, $200 per adult, ages 18 and up. Get ready for Feast of Dedication. It's going down Thursday sundown. And we're going to keep this party going on for about 8 days, man. So it's important to get linked up with your brothers, get linked up with your people. And let's celebrate these days together. This is a memorial. This is not a high holy day necessarily, or it's not a Sabbath service. It's not a Sabbath service, so it ain't to be held by the same parameters. But you know, bring your food, bring something to drink, bring that unity, and so we'll see you there. Shalom.